have two functions. So this one is actually called the second one. This one is the one that the user uses. So the user is just going to say list, so L, I have a list L. The user is going to call L dot sum list, just with no parameters, and like this one's going to call this function using the head, so it's going to call like this. So return the sum of the list starting from the head, and it's going to call this function, right?
So in other words, we have one function that's actually recursive and then something that wraps around it. Because it doesn't make sense to have the user pass in head as the parameters of it, especially when head should be private.
Yeah, he doesn't have access to head. So, any questions about that?
No.
Yeah, that should be simple. It's just like a wrapper function. I'm not sure what to call it. So what about this? So how do we usually solve recursive problems? Yeah, we break it down to it's like, until it's a trivial answer, until we reach something called a base case. So for this problem, what is the base case?
If the node that's going through reaches the tail.
Or if n is equal to 0. So actually, there's a few possible base cases. So I can have one where if n is going to null, the null address to 0, I can return. And the other base case is if head is pointing to tail, then return the tails data. Or if n is going to tail, return the tails data, but that's going to ignore the case where the list is empty. So let's just say that an empty list has sum 0, which makes sense. And otherwise, if the list is not empty, then what do I return?
Return sum list and data.
Yeah, return the sum list. So the sum of the list after n plus n's data.
Yeah.
So sum. And x. So you can flip these two operations around. It doesn't actually matter. But the first one is head recursive, and the other, if I flip it around, it's going to be tail recursive, in which recursive calls the last name. So any questions?
Questions? Anyone? This is quite trivial.
So yeah, this is really easy. So like I can think of sum list giving me the sum of list from n to tail. So the sum of list of head is going to be the sum of list from head to tail. And sum of list of n next is going to give me the sum of list after n. And if I add that with n's value, then that's going to give me the sum of the entire list from n to, or it's going to be the sum of the list from n to tail. So any questions?
What is the, I forget, what is the constant at the end of the function's declaration?
So I'm not going to actually change the structures. I'm not going to change any of my private properties or any of my of the class's properties. So
It's like a constant of the implicit parameter?
it's a constant of the implicit parameters.
It's simply saying this function will not change anything in this block.
It's basically a promise. So I promise not to do anything weird to the implicit parameter. I'm only going to look at its elements, not modify. So what fits in the beginning?
Like here, like right before, that's saying that the value it returns
Is constant. And usually that's kind of meaningless, but so any questions? So that was a pretty easy recursive problem. Do you guys want a more challenging one? No?
Just another one.
Yes, no, maybe so. So which one's that voice?
We have an example of
recursion where you have an outlive and after. That is that. You know, it's executing two things, the recursive call and then something out. Do you have a more like concrete example?
just like I get really environment and then the last you have something after also when you go back up to the
Yeah, so that is what that's doing. So, that's doing head recursion. So that wants to go into recursive call. And as it comes up, it's going to add so that's what's happening after the recursive call. Every time it comes back after it hits the base case, it's going to do its work. If we flip it around, it'll give you the same answer. It's going to do its work before it enters. Yeah, before it enters.
So, a more difficult one? Yes? Yes. Reversing So this is the new recursive function I want you guys to write. So I want you guys to write a function which removes consecutive duplicates in a string. So any consecutive duplicates that characters that appear in a string. So if I call this function on this, it's going to return what? A, B, C. So since these are all consecutive, this pretty much shrinks down to 1A, this shrinks down to 1B, this shrinks down to 1C. But otherwise, this one is completely unchanged. So I want you guys to come up with a recursive function, which is what this has.
Can you explain what it's supposed to do again?
So I want to remove consecutive duplicates that appear, consecutive duplicate characters which appear in a string. So this string will turn into this. Since these A are consecutive duplicate characters, these B's are consecutive duplicate characters, these C's are consecutive duplicate characters. So I'll give you guys 5 minutes, 20 minutes.